Good morning. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning. How are you doing, Spo?
I'm doing great. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome back. And we're so excited to have you back to talk about our Weather 2020 live seminar, where today we're going to focus on the Global Predictor. So we're really excited to hear about this and to hear all the new information you have to share. And yeah, how about you go ahead and introduce our friends, and then we'll just kick it off.
That would be great. Hey, welcome everyone. What I'd like to do is welcome you to this like focus group, I guess we could call it, or whatever. But I just want to have fun. I want to hear your input. I want to hear what you think is good, what's bad. A lot about what's good though, so we can like share that. But if there's things that are you want to see, etc., we will brainstorm that and have fun with it. But the Global Predictor Pro is exciting. It is a one-of-a-kind app. I think a lot of you know there isn't, and there's really almost no competition for it. So I'd like you to talk to that. But before we showcase it and discuss it, I'd like to have each one of you introduce yourselves, tell me a little bit about you and how you learned about this app, just like a little 30-second intro, and then we'll get started. So let's start with David.
Sorry, I was muted there. David Failing. We live in Leawood, Kansas. And I heard about the Global Predictor. I believe it was during
Head for the Cure.
Head for the Cure. We saw Gary at Head for the Cure. I got a quick explanation on that, and we signed up for it shortly after. Personally, I like to keep an eye on the weather a lot. Have weather on my watch, on my iPad, on my cell phone, and just keep track of the weather, as it progresses every day. So I find your new software very useful and pretty accurate. So we're quite pleased.
Thank you very much, David. John Rector, you're next.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I live in Overland Park, so I'm not too far from David. And I heard about the Global Predictor, I think from somewhere online. I saw it and I thought, well, this looks interesting. I've been using it quite a bit because I plan motorcycle trips all over the country, and I really want to know where the rain and the storms are. And it has saved me. I've canceled some trips. I've turned around on some trips. I've made reroutes. It's been really helpful to me. So I think it's great.
Awesome. Thank you, John. We'll get back to you. And Bill, you're next.
Yes, Gary, I've been following you since I got to Overland Park a long time ago. And Kaylee as well. I followed her. And she's with Paired Up now, and I follow that as well. And I've always been interested in the weather, whether or not it was good or bad. But anyway, it's nice to know that you can look into the future and have a 90% reliability on what's going to happen on a certain day. So I'm eager to hear what you have to say today.
Awesome. Thank you, Bill. Looking forward to having you in the discussion. Nancy, you're next.
Hi, Gary. I've been your follower since the early 90s when you were on Channel 4 with Kelly Waldo. So
wow.
I'm not that old, but, it's been a while. So anyway,
I
joined
in our 30s,
Yeah, exactly. I live southeast of St. Joseph, Missouri, so not too far from Kansas City. And I joined the Weather 2020 when that came up. And then when I started hearing about the Global Predictor, I said, yeah, okay, I've got to try this out. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I've used other things like AccuWeather in the past. I don't feel that that's as accurate as maybe it used to be, but Global Predictor is wonderful. I love it. So
excellent. Thank you very much, Nancy. Steve Burstein, you're next.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Steve Burstein. I work in Leawood and live in Kansas City, Missouri. I've been a weather buff ever since I've been born. And Gary and I have been friends for quite a while. So as a jeweler, I try to offer this Global Predictor to all my clients so they can use it for their wedding.
Right.
And I'm going to start giving away a free 1-year membership to every bride that gets a ring here so they can plan their weddings.
Wow.
And I love bad weather.
Yeah,
I do too.
I know we're struggling in Kansas City to get the bad weather in here. That's for sure right now. But we don't need tornadoes. But thank you, Steve. We'll have you in the discussion. I think Justin, is that another one? Justin,
Let's see.
is he in there?
Is it not working?
Yeah, there you go, Justin. Hi, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Tell us who you are and how you found out about it.
Justin Oaks, Syracuse, Kansas, so Southwest Kansas. I heard you speak at FarmCon in January.
Wow.
There in Kansas City. So just trying to get on here and kind of see what's going on, I guess.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you very much, Justin. And Anthony, you're next.
Good morning, everyone. Anthony, I've been following Gary since I was moved to Kansas City in 2007 and on the old HB blog. And always loved weather since I was time of 8 years old. I think the first big thing that I was into was Hurricane Gilbert that hit Texas in like 88. And so love to have this. I'm an accountant by trade, so I love data and crunching numbers and look at things like this.
Excellent. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, everybody. I'll do a little demo of the Global Predictor on Weather 2020. We have other products. So for Hurricane, our Hurricane press release, by the way, is coming out tomorrow. We have been, based on the data from Barcelona Supercomputing Center, the #1 hurricane predictor in the world. And I tried to put that down on the press release, but they said that was too promotional, even though it's the absolute truth. But the press release comes out tomorrow. Our weather guide is on there on our website, and it's exciting. We stumbled across the hurricanes years ago, about 2012. Jeff Penner and I were I was at a conference, and this hurricane was coming towards the coast, and AccuWeather and others said it was going to head towards Florida, and we knew it was heading towards Texas because it fit the LRC. It not only headed towards Texas, but it came right up the state line and produced a drought-ending 6 inches of rain in Kansas City. So that's when we started predicting hurricanes 12, 13 years ago, and we've gotten really good at it. But it's all powered by the LRC. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my screen now and just go over the Global Predictor, go over all the features, and then I would like to hear what your takes are on it. We'll just have an open discussion. So let's keep in mind anything you say, just have fun with it. And if it's critical too, because we want it to get better. And I'll tell you some new things that are developing as well. But this is a Global Predictor. On your phone, it works great. On the website, it really is incredible because it's easier to spin around the world if you're getting married in Denmark, for example. I've never gone into Denmark, so we'll just go in there right now to this town called Horsens. You go all the way down to somebody's house. Somebody's getting married right there. You click, you got the address of where you're going, and then here's how it works. May, then you have the 6 months. If you get the Global Predictor Pro, that's 6 months worth. You get June, July. If you're going there in August, and it's up there in Denmark, so they probably want Celsius. You just click on this toggle button, and you get Celsius. It's 21 degrees on the 14th of August, and that's equal to 70 degrees. You can still have fun with that. Highs, lows, no snow up there in August, and days it's going to rain. So the 1st, the 21st, and the 23rd up there. Those are the best chances of rain. And then, of course, you can go anywhere else in the world and come back to the United States. And we want to go to Houston. We just zoom in, click on Houston, and then there's your forecast. Is there going to be a hurricane in August? Well, when you have 3 days in a row, just something to know, when you see 3 days in a row with rain, most likely it's the 29th. It could be all 3 days. And if it's even longer, it's even more likely to rain that week. And that could be a hurricane. So you click on September, again, you click on precipitation. See, there's a 5-day stretch there. I'll have to go look at our hurricane guide, but that would be when that could be a hurricane coming in. So the model is able to predict such a thing, just so you know. But anyway, that's how it works. Got all these features and etc. So I like the discussion. What do you like? What do you think? Tell me, everybody. What do you think? Any thoughts from anybody?
Well, I love it, Gary. You know, I've loved weather forever, so I have. Everybody now calls me and says, "What does Gary say about anything?" So I'm kind of your voice here in Kansas.
Said I was muted.
Gary, this is Bill. My wife had a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My wife had a question. We look out and we see 2-3 weeks from now what might happen, but then that's next week, and we look back at the calendar and it's not disappeared. So she was wondering why that happened.
Right. So a couple things. We gray out the first 15 days, and there's been a reason to do that, and we have a solution coming up here in just a minute. But hey Chip, there's a little echo in there, I think. But anyway, so what happens is we have the reason we gray out the first 15 days is because the LRC is quite accurate. For example, the January 5th blizzard in Kansas City. Let's say 4 weeks before it showed a blizzard, it showed snow on January 4th and not January 5th, or January 3rd and not January 5th. It's right. It's going to be right around January 5th. It could be a day or two off. So when you get within 10 days, if it's 2 days off, it starts not looking so good. And if it gets to the day before and it's January the 5th, and now it says partly cloudy or doesn't have snow because it had just had it there. That's why we gray it out, because even though it's right, it might be a day off because it's a 50-day or 100-day forecast. However, and I want your first impression, we are just 2 weeks, 3 weeks away, probably. I'm going to guess mid-May it should be ready, maybe late May at the latest. We are going to add the first 15 days. It will be a different source, though, so it's going to be using today's models, which is maybe accurate at day 1, 2, and 3. So you're going to get those first 15 days. And then at 15 days, it'll transition to the LRC model. So at 6 months, 5 months, 4 months, and 3 months, it's 100% the LRC. And then when it gets into that 15-day window, now we'll see if the other models pick up on it. So just know that it might show up on our model, and if it grays out, all of a sudden it shows up another model. The way the LRC works, it'll probably be right, but it might not show up until it gets within 5 days again. What do you think about adding those first 15 days? Are you for that?
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
I like that. Yeah, that'll be good. Then I only have one place to go, right?
Right.
For everything, for every day. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, we're not going to, you can still use the other apps for the hour by hour, today's forecast. You can use the other apps if you want to, but at least for this, from today's forecast, just for a high and low and rain and snow, you'll have it, and it will literally be that day's forecast. So it's very likely to be right. And that'll give us an impression, hey, they were right today, tomorrow, and the next day. Then they can look out to 6 months and realize that it's accurate. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I think it's great.
Anthony here. So yes, I think this is awesome. This is great, but I think most of us on here kind of have seen that, the LRC is more accurate from 10 to 15 days than, the GFS or anything like that. So you're saying that you're going to use a different source through the first 15 days, and then the LRC picks up on the 16th day?
Yes.
Okay. My personal opinion would be great if that same concept, but it was different source to day 10 and then LRC from 11 on. Because, from your many years of blogs, when you looked out, you can tell if the models are out to lunch or not based off LRC, 15 days away.
I think that's a good point. I really like that. In my mind, I'm thinking right now, maybe I'll blend in the LRC with what that shows in those 5 days. You know what I mean? And then it triggers, then it goes into the 10 days. Something like that could come. And we'll consider that. I'll throw that out to our team. It's a good idea about starting at day 10 instead of day 15. So we might start with day 15, and then we'll get some feedback. But do you guys like? What do you all think about that idea?
That's good.
I like it.
Yes, but
Gary, do you think it will significantly change the accuracy by doing what we just talked about?
I don't. It's not going to change the LRC accuracy. I mean, the LRC, like for example, we predicted Hurricane Helene to come into the Florida Panhandle on September the 25th. It came in on September the 26th. If we use the 15-day models for that, 10-day models, it wouldn't even show a hurricane until 5 days or 7 days before. So it's that's where the idea of starting at day 10 may be better, to pick up some of those more significant events rather than watching it on the 15 or 20 day, and then you get within 15, and then where is it? What happened to that snowstorm that was on the forecast of it? And then all of a sudden, 10 days before, it pops back in there, because that's how it happens with the GFS and the European model. So no, that's why we're having this discussion. It's good. This is good to talk about.
Gary had a question.
Well, Bill first, and then Nancy. You hold on to that thought.
Yeah, concerning the LRC, how do you identify and define the reoccurring weather patterns cycle each year?
Good question. The LRC sets up every year around October 5th, 6th, somewhere in that time frame. Why is it October 5th, 6th? I think it's astronomical reasons. You may have heard me talk about it at times. The sun sets at the North Pole every year on September 23rd. So first day of autumn, there's one sunset at the North Pole, and that's on the first day of autumn on September 23rd. It's twilight there for about a dozen days. And October 5th, it goes dark. So October 5th or 6th, I've noticed every year. Now, I don't just arbitrarily say, hey, it started on October 6th, October 7th. It sounds like I do that. But I go back and I look, and I can sort of see the old pattern transitioning. And then right around October 5th or 6th, you can really see it begin to be the new pattern. And so that's how we start identifying it. So October 5th, 6th might be a day one, October 10th, 11th. This year, if you've read my weather intelligence reports, I keep showing it every week, it seems like, because we're going into October 11th right now. Literally, we're starting the cycle of the pattern right now. October 11th looks like November 22nd, which looks like December. It looks like January 3rd, right before the blizzard. And it looks like that again in the next couple of days. There's a system coming into the West Coast, and then we're going to get the May version of that system. But that's how we figured out. We see the storm systems then in October and November. If there's a big storm in New Mexico that impacts Kansas City, or a big storm in the Great Lakes in the Northeast that impacts the Northeast, we'll look for a repeat of the pattern as we go through December, January. And by January, we usually really narrow it down. And by January, we knew this year's was about a 40 to 41 day cycle, 38 to 44. Before January, though, in December, we thought we were all over the place trying to figure out what the cycle was. And then it finally became obvious. And now ever since, it's been 40, 41 days. It's absolutely amazing. So it takes till about January. So the LRC is more accurate from January to September. The Global Predictor, as a result, will be more accurate from January to September, which is great for agriculture and energy, natural gas especially, and those businesses. And for weddings and event planning, October and November are going to be a gray area. So we still will hope it's right. But as you know, I'm not sure what the pattern is until sometime in November or December, it starts to click it. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Hey, Gary, this is Justin out here in Western Kansas. That was one thing that I noticed, like the March showed that we should have gotten like 2 inches of rain, but we didn't get much. But I mean, we've been in a drought. Is that part of the issue that we probably saw there, or what have you noticed there?
It's interesting here in Western Kansas. I'm still bullish. Before summer gets here, you're going to get a deluge of rain, and it may come with this next system. We'll see. Keep me updated on that. But it's hard to rain in Western Kansas, as you know. And so it's very easy to, even in wet patterns, for it to shift to Wichita or to Kansas City. And you get the storm, you get the wind, you get the dust, and you don't get the rain. This pattern has had, it's been getting wet into Texas Panhandle and New Mexico again, and it's just been missing your area. So that's what's likely going on in March. And by the way, we took the rainfall numbers off of there. I don't know if you've noticed the latest update. We took them off. We're thinking of adding a toggle button so you can turn off the numbers or not, because the numbers still won't add up all of the days that it might rain. And that's a whole other explanation. But we just took those off because it's like, I don't want to be like it rained that day, but it didn't rain the amount that we said, so we're wrong.
Yeah. No, I get that. I mean, it's especially that far out. We were kind of hoping to see at least a little bit, and we saw 0, but we did see a little bit last week, and that's where there was some prediction from the last week. So I just was curious if the drought affected that, if you think if we ever get out of the drought cycle, if that would help, or if it's just where we're located.
Well, you're in a little drought region, but it takes, if you get 1 to 2 inches of rain next week, that would almost like ends it, just like that. So yeah. I'm expecting that is a possibility with this next system, and then again in June before summer settles in, 40 days later. So you're going to have other opportunities to all of a sudden get wet where it was dry for a few months during the winter.
Hey, Gary.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got a question on the Global Predictor. Is there a place where you could enter the city instead of actually, just trying to find the city? I know in the United States, it might be easier to enter a zip code or the city, but even the city, you could just go globally as well.
Right. I think it's a really good idea that has to be on the table of one of the things that we'll be adding. We wanted it to be real simple, where you just take your phone and you don't have to put in text and start typing. And so our goal was to make it real simple to pan around and just click. Mm-hmm. However, I think having a little bar on there, you can pan around and click still, but if you have a bar on there that's in the right spot and it's the right user experience and it doesn't force you to do that, but if that's options available, I think I'm with you on that one. So that'll be on the table. I don't know about this next update with the first 15 days, but that'll be on the table sometime this year.
Okay, good.
I was going to say, I'm sorry. Sorry, Nathan.
I also had a question. Whenever you do the updates for the LRC, do you also push those out to the Global Predictor, right?
Yeah, every single the LRC model updates every Saturday night, just so you guys know.
Okay.
And so in the consistency of the LRC, this is the thing is, if you see a forecast 5 months from now and you're a bride, right, and you get that forecast, 4 months from now, 3 months from now, 2 months from now, 1 month from now, it's still going to be about the same, because the pattern is that consistent, especially as you get to January. We're blending cycles. Eventually, guys, we might have 5 different versions of the LRC model, and then we'll use AI machine learning to adjust to a certain area that it maybe cycle 3 is best for New York or cycle 4 is best for Arizona. We might add that in, but that's a year away.
Okay. About Nancy's comment earlier. I would like it. It's if possible, we could just make a default for our profile so that, each time I go in there, I go straight to Omaha. That would be awesome in and of itself.
I think it's set up where if you're in Omaha, and if you close it and open it back up again, it'll be right on your location. I think it starts there.
Okay. I'll try again. I haven't seen that work that way.
You log out, log back in, and see if it it should default to your area.
Okay.
Very quick question. Are there geopolitical limitations to the data, access to data to come up with your predictions?
Yeah, it's amazing. The data that comes into our model, we use geospatial radar and satellite information. I found this brilliant kid that developed the model, and we just went through a transition to a brand new technology team in Boulder, Colorado, and they're also in Argentina and Colombia. And I got to see the inside of that model, and it's just absolutely fascinating. But the geospatial radar and satellite data and the National Weather Service data from around the world that goes into the model is very. Andy's writing me a note for some reason.
Yes,
Is very. I'm not sure what that means, but it is very. It's the entire world, so it's got data. So what exactly did you? What was it? What is it? Be more specific on your question, I guess.
Oh, with reference to China, is DoD interested in your long range predictor?
Right. They might. China might be. So we need to limit them from getting access to it, right?
Well, my question was, does that affect, since you have a global predictor, does the limitations that you have with certain areas of the globe, does that affect you? How does that affect your long range predictor?
Right. So for China, we're not going to probably get their weather data from their government, but we do have satellite and radar information from every location in China. So if that'll probably answer your question. So every location in Russia, every location around the world, Antarctica, we have satellite and radar information of what is happening today and what's happened in the since this pattern set up October 5th. And we use the cycle analysis then. But that data, even if we don't get any weather data from the governments, from those countries, we do have data, and that's how we get forecasts for them.
Got it.
Awesome. Well, I didn't want to interrupt, but just before we wrap up, Gary, I was wondering if you could show us the Global Predictor one more time, walk us through it one more time. And
then when we do it, I want everyone to what other features would you like to see? Just let me know. So here we are. Again, here's the United States. Say I'm going to Lake Tahoe, one of my favorite places. And I zoom in to Lake Tahoe. And my dad used to have a place right up here in Incline Village, right there, somewhere in here. Ski area is right up there. Here's a ski area, I think. And yep, there's a ski incline. Just click on ski incline, and we go to May, and it doesn't show any snow there. So May, it looks like it's just about done for snow there. But you got highs. It looks like it'll be in the 70s there. It's going to be absolutely gorgeous. And days with precipitation, 26th and 27th, maybe it'll snow at the peaks or something. Then we go to October, and it's showing a storm. Remember, this is probably right around here where it's going to transition into a new pattern. So what we've noticed is that the old pattern, the new pattern will start with the old pattern. There will be some similarities, and then it will fade. And it does show some snow as we go before the new pattern sets up. And then this 16th, 17th, 18th wouldn't be as reliable. But if you're getting married in Honolulu, now I'm going to ask you this question. Let's say you were getting married in Honolulu. You knew someone getting married. You come in here, they click. They get their wedding forecast, highs, lows, and it's only going to rain 3rd and 4th. So they're getting married on the 18th of October. It looks really good. Do you like that? How do you think brides are going to react to this product? Let me know what you think.
Good.
Well, I'm hoping they love it because I talk about it probably ad nauseum to people when they come in about the weather and their weddings, and everybody seems interested. And that's one of the bigger topics. Everybody will say, "What's Gary saying?" right before their wedding. I get that every week. So I'm Gary Jr. is what they call me.
Hey, Gary, can I ask a question here?
Yes.
I know that's a tricky one. And is it possible that you can put some clarity into how much rain without it causing you a problem? And here's the reason. As a guy who likes to be outside doing either mountain climbing or motorcycling or whatever, a little rain is one thing. A lot of rain is a whole nother. How can I use what you've got to help me interpret some of those distinctions?
Yeah, I think what's going to happen is we have the it shows green right now if it's going to rain. We had the number on there before with the amount. We are likely going to add that back in with a toggle feature. The way the model works, if it rains like 1 inch on February 1st, and on February 2nd it rains a ½ inch, and then on February 3rd it rains 1 inch, it's going to really show up as a wet storm. If it shows 1 inch of rain on February 2nd and no rain on February 1st and February 3rd, it's going to average 5 days together a little bit, and it's going to reduce that amount of rain. So when you look at the days of rain, that's why when I showed you earlier and you saw 5 straight days of rain in Houston, that is more likely to be a big system because it's averaging out probably 7 days of rain into 5 and maybe 8 days of rain into 5 days. So that's how it would work. But also that toggle from no numbers to where you can see the numbers if you want to is probably a feature that would be good for you. And the numbers are the amount of rain.
All right. Well, thank you, Gary. Thank you for walking us through the Global Predictor. Thank you to all of our guests that came, and thank you for all your questions. We're just going to wrap this up. And yeah, we just want to say thank you for joining us. And we hope that this was really informational and this was a success.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. And I appreciate all of you participating in this focus group. Great statements. And I'll reach out to you later. And if anything else comes up, just let us know.
Thank you, Gary.
Good to talk.